Hi guys, Andy from Harmony in the Home here, doing my first instructional parenting tip video on communication. So I'm super excited about this one. This is hands down my number one tip, my number one skill that I provide to every single family that I work with. It doesn't matter the age, honestly. I only work with children who are verbal. And so basically, if a child is verbal, they need this skill. So this one is called communication skills. Today I'm going to walk you through, just as if I was teaching a parent, the 4 communication styles that I teach every single parent. And actually, there's 3 communication styles that I teach every single parent. And then as a child gets older, usually into like pre-adolescent, adolescent age, then I include passive aggressive. So these are all communication styles that you have definitely heard of before, but hopefully I'll be teaching you something new, and I just wanted to give you something that's hands-on, something that's tangible, and something that kind of simplifies each of the skills so that you're better able to explain it to your child. You've got to be able to explain these skills to your child. You've got to be able to internalize what each of these styles are, so that you can teach to your children. And I highly, highly recommend that you start using this verbiage in your home today. So the 4 communication styles are passive, aggressive, assertive, which is the best one, and then passive aggressive is that 4th one that I mentioned to you. So again, I think that your children should start getting used to those words: passive, aggressive, assertive, and passive aggressive. I think that they should start getting used to those words, and you're gonna sound weird to them. They're gonna think it's strange, it's gonna be new, but if they can internalize these skills, if you can internalize these skills, there will be so much more harmony in your home. I believe that this is something that is essential to learn now, to teach now, and I believe that this is something that will help your child to be successful in all of their relationships moving forward for the rest of their life, if they are able to successfully learn this skill in their home with you. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my visual aids, and these are visual aids that I have used for years. I've modified them. I originally was taught a version of these when I worked for a wonderful agency called Casa Pacifica in Santa Barbara County. These were skills that we taught our children, and we used bears at the time. And so what I've done is I've kind of modified them to people. That way they can be something that you can use for all age levels, all developmental levels. It's not weird to teach your teenager about these characters because they're not bears. The bears were kind of used more for children, younger children. Now I will teach you different ways to communicate these skills to younger children versus adolescents. Obviously you're going to use different words, different styles, different verbiage. I always tell parents, use what works for you, use what is comfortable for you. You don't have to say exactly what I'm saying or how I'm saying it. That works in my house with my 4 children because they're used to my style. They know my style. Use what works for you and modify these skills based on what style you're comfortable with. Again, I'm going to show you these visual aids. I'm going to use these visual aids, and I'm just going to teach you just as if I was teaching a parent these things. And these visual aids are available on my Shopify store. There's 4 of them total, 1 for each style. And they come laminated if you order them online from my shop. And I'm going to teach you right now how to use these in a practical way in your home. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of read through really quickly what each one says. This first style is called Passive Patty. I named her Patty, and as you can see in the picture, she looks very passive, at least what I envision to be a passive child. And these are the things that it says. It says, I usually do not speak at all. I don't even know what to say. When and if I do speak, I speak in a whiny voice. People push me around and I'm easy to boss around. I believe my words and feelings don't matter. I like to play it safe, so I try to not disagree with people. I keep all of my feelings inside and I don't let people know what they are. I'm not that good, so I stay in the background. So these are all very stereotypical statements that a passive person or a passive child might say. So at the bottom of each one, it says the same two questions. If I'm feeling scared, what would I say or do? If I'm feeling angry, what would I say or do? These are just kind of practical questions to ask your child to just really determine that they understand this style. So so I would read through each of them. This one is Aggressive Andrew. And I'm just going to read through his, and again, I'll show you some little examples of ways that I might use this with different age groups after I'm done reading all four. So, Aggressive Andrew. Here's his picture. I talk loudly or I yell. I chase people. I even hit them. I scare others. I always get my way, even if I hurt others to get it. I'm mean and I will push people out of my way or chase them down to get what I want. People are afraid of me. I go after people without stopping or slowing down. No one messes with me. Again, the same two questions at the end. If I'm feeling scared, what would I say or do? If I'm feeling angry, what would I say or do? Now, some of these questions might sound like something that a therapist would ask a child. So you might feel kind of odd asking these of your child after you're reading this stuff. I believe wholeheartedly that you are a therapeutic parent. If you are watching this right now and you're a parent, you are called to be a therapeutic parent. And that doesn't mean you have to have a license like I do. That just means we live in a world right now. If you watch my why video, my first video, I share with you a little bit more about why I feel so passionately about this. We're all called to be therapeutic parents these days. Kids are faced with very, very challenging circumstances now, and I am giving you these tools, or I'm selling you these tools for a very reasonable price and teaching you how to use these skills so that you can be almost like a therapeutic parent. You're teaching your child how to problem solve, how to communicate, how to use their words to express what they need. So again, as you hear me read through this, I'm reading through them really quickly, but I think that this is very, very important for every home. Every home should have these hanging up in their house as the children are getting to know these different words and styles, and they need to get used to utilizing these words, assertive communication, so that they can be better communicators in life. So let's move on to passive-aggressive Peter. And there's a nice little picture of a teenager on there, which I'm not saying all teenagers are passive-aggressive. I think all teenagers have different styles of communicating. Unfortunately, even adults, this is my probably the one that I go to when I'm not using healthy communication. It's passive-aggressive. So I think a lot of these things, if you read my blog, I share that habits can be negative and they can also be positive. If you develop a communication style that's negative, you can learn different ways and learn how to better communicate when you're educated and you learn these better ways of communicating, and then you practice them, and then it becomes a healthy habit. So passive-aggressive Peter, what it says here is that I may say I'm not mad when I really do feel mad. I make statements like fine, whatever, in order to express anger indirectly and shut down honest communication. My behavior may not be consistent with my words. It's likely not consistent with my words. I am a master procrastinator. I may rely on this to get out of doing things that others want me to do. I may comply with the request, but carry it out intentionally wrong, and when confronted, I may defend my work or accuse you of being too rigid. I give backhanded compliments. I use a lot of sarcasm. For example, can't you take a joke? I am good at maintaining calm and pretending to be shocked when others are upset. I may secretly take pleasure out of making others upset and lose their cool, and then I may question their overreaction. So a lot of these tactics, it sounds really manipulative, and if we're all being honest, I think we all kind of have the tendency, all of us have the potential to use any of these unhealthy styles. So just kind of be real with yourself about what your tendency is to gravitate to when you're feeling extra frustrated, when you're feeling extra sad, when you're maybe in a state of stress. What do you gravitate to? I think it's very important to know what your style tends to be, so that you become more self-aware, and then you are practicing more assertive communication skills in your relationships and modeling those for your children as well. So that being said, we're going to get to assertive Allison, and look at how assertive she looks. Doesn't she just look so confident and assertive? I ask for help when I need in a nice way. I'm honest with people. I want to make sure that I don't hurt others. I know that it is important that I tell people about my feelings and needs so that they can help me. I speak nicely. I like who I am. I like to stop, slow down, and go so that I can talk about my feelings instead of take them out on others. I speak in a good, strong, respectful voice. I don't like to whine. So I went through these really quickly just for the sake of time on the video, but in person, what I would do if you're teaching your children these skills, you're going to take some time. You're going to go through each of them. You might even ask the children, can you guys think of somebody that this reminds you of? And you're not trying to pinpoint or embarrass anybody. You're just trying to help them really internalize and understand each of the styles, and maybe visualize, okay, yeah, so-and-so in my class is very passive, or so-and-so in my class is very aggressive. Because I think if they're able to think of somebody that they know, that might be something that will help them learn the skill even better. So another tip that I use for younger children, like super young children, I might use puppets. I love having puppets on hand, just a variety of puppets. And these are puppets, I'll have to look up and see where I got these exactly, but anybody can buy these. These are therapeutic puppets, but I have like probably 20 of these lying around. And I use them in my practice all the time with my younger children. But I might try to like act out some of the styles with my puppets so that they can, number one, it makes it fun for the kids, but also it helps them really understand and see what that style might look like. So that's something fun that you can do with the younger kids. And then I had some other examples of like maybe a slightly older kids. So like for my kids, for example, my 6-year-old, I'm going to look up my notes here because I had a good example of something that I see a lot in my home. So I have 4 kids, like I mentioned, 6, 8, 16, and 18. My 6-year-old, sometimes when he's extra tired, he'll just start whining. Every child has a tendency usually to whine when they're tired or frustrated. However, I have worked with him since he was a baby, all of them since they were little, on using assertive communication and not whining. So in my home, you don't hear a lot of whining. And I know that sounds strange for, having 4 children, but you just don't hear a lot of whining because my kids have learned that they do not get their needs met if they whine. So if my son is arguing with the 8-year-old, that's kind of like a typical thing that may happen. I might hear him saying, so-and-so, stop it. That's whining, right? So then I know something's up. I know probably, number one, he's tired, or I may have to kind of like assess a little bit. Is he hungry? What is it that's going on? And so what I might say is, Jonah, let's try that again with your strong words. Now, he already knows these skills. If you're just introducing these skills, you might say, let's try that again with your assertive Allison voice. These that's the name of the young lady in my visual aids who uses assertive communication. So that may be a way that I'm helping him to get his needs met, and I'm also trying to encourage him to find it within himself to try it again in an assertive way. So what I'm looking for is for him to say, Isaiah, I don't like that. Please stop. Now, some people, I've had friends who are like, oh yeah, that's really going to happen. You know, my son doesn't talk like that. Well, you can teach your son to talk like that. You can teach your daughter to talk like that. My kids talk like that because they've been taught. They've had it modeled for them. They know if mommy says, I need you to try that again with strong words. If they look confused, I'll ask them, do you need help? And they'll say yes or no. But for the most part, they have been trained for so long that they know how to say it again, but utilizing an assertive communication style instead of the whining. Now, something that I want you to look at my blog, I talk a little bit more about how different kids can mix and match some of the negative communication styles based on either their mood or how they're feeling or who they're with. Sometimes my 6-year-old can express himself aggressively when he is not, having a good moment. Sometimes he can be more passive when he's not having a good moment. All of these negative and positive skills can be totally mix and matched. So what you want to do, though, is just remind them to go back to the assertive communication style. So the other thing I wanted to do, I'm sorry this video is going a little bit longer than I wanted to, but thank you for watching. I wanted to show you an example of how I would use it with adolescents. So again, I told you I have 2 teenagers. I had an example just recently when I confronted one of my kiddos about something that he did that was breaking a house rule, and he came back with, I've always done it that way. And I'm like giving a good impression of how he talks to me. I've always done it that way. And I'm sure if you're a parent of teenagers, you've heard that voice and you've been talked to like that, as if it kind of makes you feel like, well, it almost makes you feel like, oh, has he always done it this way? Second guess what you're doing, and then you realize, wait a minute, I'm being bamboozled by my kid right now. And then you have to take back control and say something like, try it again. What I said is try that again in an assertive and not passive aggressive way. And that's exactly how I speak to my kids. I want you to try that again. And the way I talk to my kids is very direct. I talk to all 4 of them pretty much the same way. They're just used to hearing me talk to them that way. I don't really do a lot of baby talk. I just say, I want you to try that again. And the way I ask them is in an assertive way too. I'm not trying to be aggressive. I'm not trying to be passive, like, can you try that again? Or, so-and-so, just give them such and such. That would be, that's pretty much like throwing your hands in the air and saying, okay, you know what, just give him what he wants. What is that teaching your child? You're teaching your child that if they express themselves in that negative way, mommy might just be too tired to even put forth the effort to redirect them and to teach them a lesson. So it might work, and that's not okay. So be as consistent as possible. I'm going to have a lot more of these videos to come. I love teaching, so I'm going to please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot of these, and look me up on Instagram. I'll put all these handles in my comment section. And just thank you so much for watching, and hope you have a wonderful day.